Hello and welcome back to the Enterprise E build here on the Minetrek.net game server. I've done some work and I've done some revision stuff, and I'd like to show you what I've done here. I have these big cargo transfer pathways here. These are for transferring cargo and storing it along the walls there, and then having these lifts that allow you to take it up to different decks and things like that, up to the sciencey area here. And what I've decided to do is I had this additional spatial cargo storage, and I've got a few of these along here that I don't really use, and this is sort of kind of a redundant space, and I'm thinking, well, it's a nice size room, but I have a better use for it at this point. And as you can see right there, I've got it highlighted because I'm about ready to do the mirror copy, but I've added in a airlock bulkhead here, and I've converted the room into a large EVA locker area. And I gotta do one other thing here real quick before I copy it. I gotta change the door signifier. There we go. Anywho, what'll happen is, in the event of something, they can access this room and then they can go through here, and this can be pressurized, and they can go to any deck they need to go from there. That's why it has to be so big. That way there, if they have to do EVA, they can do EVA on multiple decks. And they can also go out here to the cargo bay. Let's go ahead and come out here and do our copy paste and see how it looks. First I will copy it, then I will flip it, I will step forward one, and I will paste. And there we go, she's in. The nice thing is, cargo here, it's 4x2, can easily be turned, maneuvered, and come through here, and then they can pivot it and go that way out with it or not. It's up to them. I'm saying if this was a functional thing, which obviously it's not. It's Minetrek, but Minecraft in general. Let's go ahead and fix that real quick. Let's go ahead and clear that. Let's go ahead and get rid of these. Whoops, I go and broke stuff. Not good. I hate when I broke stuff. All right, there we go. Come over here and there we go. And I'll show you something else I did. I went ahead and down on that lower level, well, first let's go over here. I'll show you what I did over here. I did go ahead and shorten this area down a little bit. So there's a little workspace right here. I expanded this aft section EVA locker quite a bit. Actually, it looks really good in here, as you can see. Expanded it quite a bit. I gained 3 additional slots. I mean, I could probably get in 4 if I want to put one right here as well, but I decided to go ahead and leave it open just because. That's a nice addition. I'm really happy that I got that. And we spin up here real quick. I'll show you that in addition to some fit and finish over there, nothing major, just a couple of block changes, I added an additional EVA locker right here into the island, just a little 3-1 on this side, and then additional 3-1 on that side, and then they have the big one right here in this area here. So it's just an additional couple of extra 6 EVA lockers. So now this whole parking bay and the cargo bay have a significant increase in the number of EVA operable suits that they can use. The only problem I'm running into now is where up here can I put an EVA locker? In retrospect, I guess I should have converted this space right here from a control area into an EVA locker room, but I'm not going to go back and retrofit it. I like the way that looks. So I have to come up with an additional area to do that in, and I haven't really explored much to see where I can do that for the main hangar bay here. It would have to be an area where it can be easily accessed. And I see they still have this red area here. What I'm thinking is back in this area through here, just go ahead and convert all of these to EVA lockers. Get rid of all this walls, all the way back, all the way up to here. And then through here, like with this lighting and stuff, convert that to more modern, to a more modern style. Get rid of some of the funky stuff. And just rethink this whole backside wall here considerably. And I'd leave like things like this in, I guess, and I'd leave the arch here in, But I'm really thinking about converting all this here into EVA locker stuff. It seems like it'll be a more practical use of space than currently is associated with it. Right now, it's just sort of, yeah, because it was in the picture. You know, it's part of the look of it, and I think if I keep that there and rethink this area in here quite a bit, I can pull off an EVA locker stuff through here. And I got a corridor right here which works really well for me. Yeah, I'm thinking that's what I'll do. I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and close all this off because it doesn't need to be open, and then I'll have like another little EVA door right here, and then an EVA door right there, and another EVA door right here, and run one going this way as well, and then turn this whole wall and this wall into EVA lockers. I can do it right now. I mean, let's go ahead and start breaking this off here and take a look, because I still have it on the other side and I can always mirror it back if I have to. The sections that I'm doing are not that difficult to replace if I muck things up. I figured it might be a good idea. And the reason for the EVA lockers is you're dealing with space. At some point you're going to lose pressure. You're going to have to do damage control and all this other fun stuff. And I don't know. I don't know what it was. Something inside of me, I was working through this stuff going, you know what's missing something. And that's what it was, missing EVA lockers. I've added in a whole bunch of emergency storage lockers and things like that throughout the ship that I pioneered for the Enterprise D, because why not? I needed to fill space. I'm like, well, they would have these emergency survival lockers, wouldn't they? Where if something happened, the ship lost pressure, they'd have to, if they couldn't get into safety, they'd have to, gosh darn it, what am I stepping on? Oh, these things. They would have to have a place to go to save their lives. And I started thinking about it. Well, they have escape pods, but what if they don't get the escape pods? And that's what prompted the emergency supply lockers, the emergency EVA lockers, and all that fun stuff. Let's go ahead and this is all going to be redone through here, so I don't mind. These out here I'll leave the way they are for now. But yeah, just figure, what the hell, What am I missing? And that's what I was missing. I was missing these EVA lockers. It's a lot of fun to kind of go back and retrofit this stuff and horseshoe things in. Granted, I did very little changes to this hangar, and main reason for it is I kind of like the styling, but I realized that it was never really finished, and I didn't really want to get into it for fear that once I got into it, I'd be going down the rabbit hole. And I've already started going down the rabbit hole, you might say, doing this right here and with the revision above us and everything else, because if you come in here and you look at this, in the Enterprise E that you can download from Planet Minecraft, these are all observation windows. And I had to use carpet for the floors over the roof in this room here, and I didn't like that. I absolutely did not like that. And I tried my best to come up with a solution that kept those operational, those observation rooms up and running, but in the end I decided that they weren't practical. I didn't need them. I have that other observation room right up here, and you could stand up there and view most of the hangar, and then back here it was limited and stuff like that. So what I needed more was lighting. I needed to light the area up, and that's why I decided to go ahead and just fill it in with lighting and stuff. Fill it in with lighting, and not stuff, but just lighting in general. And that's what I did. And I have to say that I really like how it came out. It's a lot cleaner. I don't have so much wasted space now and all that fun stuff. Let's go ahead and... Now for this, I guess I could, because these are going to be a lot smaller, so I don't really need the pumpkin lighting here. And I guess I can go ahead and trim all of this off. You can see, if you come up here, you can see how this kind of wastes space and stuff. Nothing I can do about it. It is what it is. Okay. Get rid of that pumpkin lighting. Okay, That's birch. I don't like birch. I like terracotta. Let's just go ahead and fill in this space here. There we go. Let's go and get this cleared out of here. Whoops. It's part of the hanger. Gonna leave that there. Okay, let's clear this out. And this door. Because the door is going to be the new EVA style door. Whoops, come on. There, and then something like that. There we go. You're ruining the whole effect. Not really. Not really hurting it at all. Again, I can always come back and replace all this stuff if I so choose. Okay. And where's my red brick? There's my red brick. There we go. Alright. Yeah, let's go ahead and get rid of these interior walls. Really, it's interesting how over time styles change, and when you have one style and it looks just really good, and then over time it just sort of, as blocks update and tastes change and ways of doing things are improved, or new methods are developed. Not saying it's an improvement, it's a new method. You go back and you revisit these things, and sometimes it gets physically painful to look at some of these builds. You just want to go back, even after, like, you just revise an area, and then like 10 minutes later you go back, it's like, oh, it gives me stomach aches, and you just want to curl up in a ball and go back to sleep, because it requires a lot of thinking to get stuff done. And I don't know about the other players, but for me, it's sort of a drag when that happens. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. So I try, when I do stuff, I honestly try to do it in a style that if I have to go back and revisit it, I can, without too much of issues with getting it done. That way, if I have to do it, I can get it done, and it's done, and I'm not too worried about how I got it done. More or less that it just, as long as it fits the theme and the updates, and I'm happy with it. That's, I guess, what I was trying to say. Is I have to be happy with what I'm doing. And if I'm not happy, I'll go back and I'll visit it 2, 3, 4 times before I will call it quits. And that's just the way I am. I like to make sure that that what I'm doing is done and done well. Let's get rid of these pumpkins through here. Whoops. It's gotta stay there. Get rid of the pumpkin lighting. Ah! What were you there? You were black wool. And sometimes I get it wrong, and I mess things. I make things look a lot worse than what they were, and in those cases, I have to go back and fix it again, fix them up, and all that other fun stuff, and repair the things that are, undo the things that I did, and it's a learning process. It really is, but it is sort of actually it is quite a fun process. Don't get me wrong, to do, because you learn a lot while doing it, and isn't that all why we do a lot of what we do? It's just because it's fun, and we like to learn. We like to learn new things, build new things, see what we can come up with. That's an incredibly powerful tool that Minecraft is it gives people the opportunity to, at any age, to be the inner artist. And I've heard people have told me in the past that they catch a lot of flack and a lot of heat from other people that don't get it. They don't get why people play Minecraft. And that's on those people. I mean, they're missing out. That's entirely on them. They're the ones that are being all bitchy and whatnot, and they're the ones that are missing out. So, to hell with them. You know, it's their loss. It's not our loss. And we get it. We all enjoy it. And we're going to keep doing it because it's fun. Straight up, it is fun to do. So I think I'll go ahead and leave that as red. Go ahead and swap these lights out. Gosh darn it. You know, I'm not a fan of pumpkin lighting. If you look up here, you see a lot of dead space. And in fact, if I do this right, I might be able to. 1, 2. What is black terracotta? I keep forgetting. That's birchwood. I want black terracotta. Yeah, it is 15915. Fill 159. Whoops. Semicolon 15. I can't do that. Fill 159 15 20. There we go. Come up here, we even have more dead space. And more. Ah, it's the hall. So this is remnant stuff left over from eons ago. Eons ago, when the hall was first active and whatnot. There's. Okay, that's part of these machines right here. Whoops. And that's part of the hangar. Okay, so let's go ahead and come back up here, and if I can get back up there, there we go. I put that back, and I'm going ahead and leave that blunt, and I'll just fill in this space here manually. Because when I copy this over, I gotta do this whole section anyways. It won't matter if I, you know, forget it or not, but yeah. So that's the thing with Minecraft. It allows you to be a very creative person. Fill in, you know, everybody's an artist inside themselves. Everybody has the ability to create. And it is, for a lot of people, a great stress reliever. It's also very addicting because, you know, you're seeing your how your mind works coming together. And it can be very, very rewarding or very frustrating. And I have seen some builds done by some folks that are just absolutely amazing, blow your mind sort of stuff. And I'm like, damn, I wish I could build as good as those guys. I mean, some of those buildings that they've come up with and whatnot, they're just gorgeous and just absolutely breathtaking in the way they come up with those builds. And I would love to build a build like that, but you know, not in the cards for me, because I build spaceships. Yay. Spaceships. Anyways, let's go ahead and get back to doing what we're doing here, and that is setting up our spots for our EVA suits to go. That'll work. That'll work just fine. I might revisit this side, but okay, let's go over here. How do we have that set up? I'd like to keep them, if I can. It's not going to work. They're going to be offset. They're going to be offset off key from each other. It's nothing I can do about that. It's just the way it is. I mean, I could if I really wanted to give a damn. I could, but nah. I'm not going to worry about it. Give me back my. That better not be what I think. Yeah, it is black terracotta. Cool. I like the black terracotta. I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to convert a lot of this floor into the correct flooring that I like to use so much. I think that'll be okay. Let's go ahead and do the floor here real quick. Yep. I could just convert iron to this, but I'd like to walk along here because it also lets me get the feel for how much space I have and whatnot. Doing a lot of EVA locker stuff these last couple of videos, but that's what I've been focused on. I've been focused on that solely on that for updates. And let's go ahead and get in here. We'll come back through and I'll replace those black diamond plate blocks with the correct blocks for doing EVA lockers here in a second. We can see how the area is coming together, which is really nice. I tell you, it's fun to see how when you do make a change and it sort of kind of works well. There's nothing more rewarding than, well, playing the game anyways. There's a lot of things that are rewarding, but it's just, on a personal level, it's just, it makes you, it's like, yeah, dang it, it's working, that's looking good, I like that, that kind of a thing. It just feels rewarding in and of itself to see your efforts come together in a cool and unique way. Dang it. I'll fix all the. I'll deal with the hangar when I have time. At this point, if I keep working on it, it's just going down the rabbit hole more and more, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole just yet. So yeah. All right. Now, if we were to have phasers, this is a lot of EVA stuff. Now I just have to figure out a spot. If I were to have weapons, where would I put the weapons? Because if you have borders, they're definitely gonna put the weapons here. You're gonna have to repel borders. If the hangar bay would be primary target 1 for borders, and let's do right here as well for weapons. Actually, what'll happen is we just do it like this. Oops. There we go. When I say weapons, I mean I basically phasers, phaser rifles, those kind of things. When I go back and I watch Star Trek: The Next Generation, it's got a lot of cringe in it. I honestly have to admit that, and I'd be lying to everyone if I think we all would be lying to each other if we said, "Oh no, it's perfect." Nah, it's got a lot of cringe, and so I guess what I'm used to is that kind of track, and because I'm used to that kind of track, I'm less open to new track, and I've noticed that with a lot of fans of Star Trek. This isn't my Star Trek. Well, no, it's not. It straight up is not my Star Trek. But is that a bad thing? Well, yeah, for fans it could be a bad thing because, as fans we expect a certain tone to be met at all times, and we're not seeing that. And I think it upsets me. I won't deny it. I like what I like about Star Trek, and I don't like what I don't like about Star Trek. And what I don't like about Star Trek currently is that it seems more focused on bad writing, or just get it by writing, don't focus on plot. And when they do focus on plot, it's political. And it is, I can understand the original Star Trek dealt with issues of the time. And they did it very effectively. They didn't force politics down your throat. They didn't lecture us on what we need to believe, and that take modern day things and just force feed it to us. They did it in an intelligent and very kind of a way. I see your point. I may agree with it, or I may not agree with it, but at least they don't throw it in my face. And that's the problem with new Star Trek. And even with some of the new superhero stuff, if you're into that, which, thankfully I'm not, you just see it just being thrown in people's face. You will go see this new movie because except if you're a man, don't go see this. You're not welcome. Or if you're not, a black person, don't go see Black Panther. You're not welcome. And I'm thinking to myself, well, hey, wait a minute. I went and saw Blade. Nobody bitched at me about that. Told me I couldn't go see Blade. I went and saw Charlie's Angels. Nobody told me I couldn't go see Charlie's Angels. Those are just as relevant movies back then as current movies are today, but without all the politics. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell? Why has everything got to be so political now? And it boils down to identity politics and divisiveness. Divided we fall, together we stand. And I am a firm believer that a lot of people that are in Hollywood today don't want a United States. They do not want a united anything. What they want is control. They want to be the people to tell us what we are to do and how we're to think, and the only way they can pull that off, and this gets back to Benjamin Franklin when he was talking about democracy, is by making sure that the rest of us do as we're told. And the other part of that thing where, democracy is two wolves and a sheep deciding what's for lunch is a republic is two wolves and an armed sheep willing to negotiate what's for lunch. The part being armed. I'm pretty sure I got the quote wrong, but it's in that ballpark, don't get me wrong. It is a very poignant point to be made that if you relinquish control, you relinquish freedom. A government big enough to give you everything you want is big enough to take everything you have. And that is very true in Star Trek. And I think that's probably, in all honesty, I think that's what they're trying to say in like Picard, that Starfleet has become so big it's become corrupted, it's been coerced, and Picard sees it, but he can't yet put his finger on it. He knows something's wrong, and he just. I have hope for Picard because I know it's set in the Prime universe and not the canon universe, and that's somewhere between the middle of Star Trek. I think it was around the end of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Something happened with the time; it shifted, was altered because of the Temporal Cold War, because they were setting up for Enterprise, and the TOS era was erased forever. Obviously, when you look back at it, they have to do something with that because if you look at TOS, it was designed in the 60s by people in the 60s who trying to figure out what the future was going to look like for the rest of us. So the technology is based upon their level of how they felt future was going to look. And the same thing with Enterprise. You look at the NX-01, it has, you look at those monitors now and it's kind of cringeworthy because you realize they're even dated. Heck, go back and watch Stargate Atlantis. Back in the day, it was like, oh my God, the technology. They had that laptops and those early notebooks and all that other stuff. Now, all that technology is like decades old to us. We're beyond it. Heck, if they redid Atlantis, everybody be walking around with smartphones. And that sort of a thing. So technology changes, and since Star Trek is such a beloved series, they have to explain the technological disparity between TOS and modern times. We know now that we have cell phones. Well, Star Trek: The Original Series does not have cell phones. They never even thought they do. They have communicators, but they don't have smartphones. They don't have the iPads and things like that. Well, they have tricorders. Well, yeah, okay, I can buy into that, but a tricorder communicator? No, they don't have that. And so they had to come up with a way to say, okay, we need to explain the new technology. When you look at Enterprise, not Enterprise, but Voyager, excuse me, Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I'm going backwards in time here. Star Trek Next Generation. They actually were inventing technology that we had not yet had. Music, digital music, it was unimagined at that time. And the guys over at Apple were like, holy hell, that's a brilliant idea. We should come up with how to do that so we can play music on the go. And then we ended up with iPads and, all that other fun, not iPads, but what do they call that thing? It's obsolete now. The iBoy or whatever it was. Who knows? I can't remember. But yeah, it's kind of cool. It drives technology. And now technology's even surpassed what we saw in Enterprise. And so, so they go to Discovery and they keep having to reboot it because technology keeps outpacing the vision for the future. And it blows your mind that our vision of the future is often outpaced by modern technology in and of itself. So we imagine what the future is going to look like in 20 years, so we kind of forecast that in our TV shows. And then the TV shows come out, and 5-10 years later, the technology that we featured in those TV shows is obsolete because technology has surpassed it already in such a short period of time. reboot, and they get stuck in that reboot loop, and eventually it dilutes everything, and it confuses everything to the point of where it becomes all new. And when you do that, you leave behind those who enjoy what was old. Anywho, I appreciate you listening to that little rant of mine, and I probably realize that it doesn't make any sense, but it's just things that I'm thinking of as I do this stuff. That's what my mind just goes through, and it's like, okay, how am I going to do this? And this goes off on these tangents, and these tangents lead to interesting thoughts and things, whatnot, and so forth. And I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me as I do it. But I'm about ready to mirror this over. But as you can see here, this looks a lot better as an EVA, as a massive EVA locker room, as opposed to what it was before. Now it has practical use. And I didn't really change that much out here. It's still pretty much the same. If you look, you barely see any changes out here. So I'm very happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and mirror it, and I'll go out to the corridor and mirror it from the corridor because I can get a better piece of it out here. I'll go right to there. And first and foremost, I have to make sure that I'm not affecting anything that is bilateral, non-bilateral. Okay, well, it looks all good through here. I'm also updating all the turbo or all the escape pod things to make them a little bit more interesting looking. Okay, we're looking pretty good here, and I'm going to go ahead and mirror it. I'm happy with it, so I'm going to go ahead and mirror that side and call her good. Okay, let's go back to being solid. And 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to go and copy this. We're going to flip it and whoops, paste it. Okay, we did see one change right there that I'm not familiar with. Let's go back and change that to a solid block. Okay, that is a solid block. Okay. And I'm going to say that's a solid block as well. Go back over here and change those to solid blocks. Anyways, I do appreciate you taking time to watch. Again, I'm sorry if I ramble on politics and stuff like that, because I'm just trying to understand how we get from where we are in Star Trek to where we are now with Picard and stuff. And I'm just trying to figure it out, make up how connect the dots sort of a thing. And it'd be kind of fun to see how it works. I would actually love to see some very cool innovation happen with storytelling. I really would, but at least we're getting some Star Trek. I mean, that's better than we've gotten in a long time. So enjoy the Star Trek, I guess. Enjoy the suck, as they would say. All right, thanks for watching. Have a great day.